So you are actually here to discuss the RCM patient inquiry online tool statement. This is more for our patients and also for our clients, so they know what's available to them.
Correct. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about the patient inquiry tool and also the statements itself, like how we send them, what the process is. So I'll just jump right in, Kemal. So usually that patient responsibility part of it, or the sending the statements part, is sort of at the end of our process. So we go through an entire process of getting claims, through the insurance, making sure we're working on denials, et cetera, before we get to the point where we actually bill the patient. So that statement process comes last. Now, sometimes we do have to send statements or letters to patients in the middle of our process if we happen to be missing information, right? So that's something we do. We'll drop a balance to the patient to get their attention, and we'll say, hey, we need your insurance information, or we want to make sure that your name is displayed correctly. Those are some of the reasons why we would send something prior to the process being completed. The next part of this is also making sure we're sending statements to the right folks. So we usually submit these statements in a batch. So we go through a list of all of the patients that are eligible to be billed, and we process them through our practice management system, and we identify essentially that we make sure that we've at least done our due diligence before we go ahead and send those statements out to the patient. Now, we do send anywhere from a minimum of 2 statements, sometimes more. There are some practices where we send 3 statements or possibly 4, but our standard is usually at least 2 to 3. And on those statements, we include patient information that's important for them, their account number, when their bill is due, when they're expected to pay, essentially what their balance is, what it's for, and kind of just an explanation of what it is that they're receiving, why they're receiving that bill. And our statements are pretty easy, clear to read, has practice information on it, who's sending you the bill, what the amounts are, that kind of stuff. Also, our patients do have an option to receive electronic statements directly to their email address if they choose to do so. But normally our process at United Medical, our standard process is to send the patients paper statements, which many people still want. So then the next part of this is essentially the online patient option. So on the statements, we've included a link. It's a billing.umUSA.net. It's a link that takes you to our patient inquiry. So this essentially helps patients who want to avoid making that phone call an opportunity to ask questions about their bills directly online. So we've kind of made that the forefront of the statement, kind of highlighting that option versus calling us, just because we find it to be a very efficient way to answer the questions from the patients. Mm-hmm. So they can fill out their question. We do have a form that allows them to ask questions about balance disputes, FMLA, paying a bill, a payment that's potentially missing that they've already paid, setting up a payment plan, requesting information from us, requesting a statement from us maybe if they haven't even received one. So there's a lot of different options on the inquiry screen. And also we have some clinical options as well. I think also the wellness groups, I think you're able to go on and put a patient inquiry for those if you want more information on those.
Richard, what I would like to do is just share my screen for a second. If I'm a patient, if I don't have any of this information that you just provided, and if we were to kind of navigate this together, just assume that I'm a 77-year-old Karen. Well, do you have 77-year-old? It should be right. So, okay, so this is our website, right? So Well, I don't know anything about what you just said because I'm not listening. So then, oh, I see the for patients options here.
Right.
So I think that makes the most sense. So I'm going to go to that. So then from that, well, this seems like the most logical answer.
Right.
So now before I do that, I just want to make sure that I'm on a private browser so that it's not, where do I make this? So let me just do this. So sorry guys. So all right. So now it's like that way I'm not signed into our system. Okay, so then this first option, it seems like the most logical to me, and then I go there, and okay, so it says, please select your confirmation preference. I don't know what that means, but I'm gonna read. Yes, I would like to receive an email. No, I don't want to receive an email. Yes, I would like to receive an email. Reason for inquiry, right? So these are my options.
These are your options.
This is the actual live database. So right now we are not demoing, right? So then, so like if they want to, instead of just calling us and then waiting for 25 minutes for someone to answer, and then ending up just leaving a voicemail, it's much better to just go here and then do this information right here, and then pick the practice.
Yeah, so this is a list of all of our doctors. Now, sometimes if they're not able to find their doctor or they don't know, we have that little box next to it that says unable to find doctor. I think sometimes patients fill things in there.
So yeah, this is pretty easy. So,
yeah.
Right?
That's your,
so
because you chose the insurance info one, it's gonna ask you for your insurance ID.
Sure.
That just gives us the most basic information we need on our side to be able to verify that your insurance is actually active.
No, this is good. And as soon as I do say this, so I should be getting a confirmation ID. And then, but it does say that don't call the office because you're gonna, well, there's the vaccine stuff.
Yeah, I think this is a standard
yeah.
From the COVID, yeah.
I know that I just got the email. So, but that's about it, right? So.
That is correct, yep. And once we've resolved it as well, Kemal, once we've resolved that inquiry that you just put in, because you put your email in, we can also email you the resolution. So for that particular one, it's quite easy. If you do have your insurance information, you end up entering it on that form and we're able to verify it. We probably will never have to call you. We would just resolve the ticket on our side. We would resubmit the claim and we would shoot you out an email letting you know that your ticket has been resolved and what that resolution is. We actually type those in ourselves. They're not automated. So the rep who's working on your inquiry would type in exactly what they did. And you would receive that in your email.
Well, that seems pretty easy to use, and then they would save a lot of time. But we would probably, the patients are getting their answers in like 24 to 48 hours, the latest.
Correct. Right? No, as long as we can resolve it. Now, the only other issue sometimes we do run across, Kemal, is people leave their phone number, but often they don't have a voicemail set up. Or they have a voicemail inbox that's completely full, or they, continuously kind of ignore our calls because they perhaps don't know the number, that kind of thing. So in those cases, we do reach out to the patient. We attempt multiple times to reach out to the patient to assure we've tried to do our due diligence to get in contact with them for their inquiry.
No, that is very helpful. And then I think now more and more patients are using it.
100%. We've had a huge influx of patients who are using this. They're using it effectively. We are getting much less call volume due to this. And the nice thing about it is the information is right there, right? It's typed in from the patient versus if you're trying to speak to someone on the phone, there may be some miscommunication. Maybe you may not understand the patient may not understand the representative. There's a lot of room for, issues that may come up on those calls, whereas in this format, it's very easy for us to see the information most of the time. And how you had to navigate to the website, however, directly on the statements, it is the exact website link. So they don't even have to go to the United Medical website at all. It directly takes them to that inquiry page that you went to from our website. So try to make it as easy as possible to go ahead and do that. And the other thing I wanted to mention is many of our practices have a patient payment online option. So what we've done through the patient inquiry, which I think is very nice, is even though it's on the statement as to where they can go to pay their bill, perhaps they miss that and they say, oh, I want to pay my bill, and they go to they go to our site to put it in inquiry. But when you click that pay a bill option, if that particular practice has a pay online site, it will automatically give you the link to that, and it will direct you to that site. And you can just pay your payment there. So it makes it really easy. We're improving it always, but we're trying to make it so that it's very user friendly and it directs patients exactly where they need to go.
No, that makes our interaction with the patients from the billing end, it makes it a lot more efficient. Patients don't want to be called. I mean, on the case conference, I can give you an example from the clinical side. When we call the patient for the follow-ups, Sean would know because he's in those meetings with us. So sometimes they're at their office, so they're not able to talk. So, patients are not we are not a hospital. Our patients are not in the hospital when we call them. So they're living their lives. So it's also not most convenient for them. I think that makes it a lot more efficient and productive, and hopefully more people can use. And from my personal work that I do with different, when this is available to me, I just don't want to talk to anyone. So this is the best thing. Then I can just do it in the.
You're not going to play phone tag either.
Yeah.
And we're becoming a society that's more prone to, wanting to use these types of options versus, and I don't think that it's just the young people. I think there's a lot of elderly people who prefer to do online. Very recently, my dad was like, okay, I want to, after 20 something years, and probably more than that, some of these have been available. He wants to make everything automated. He's like, oh, I want to have everything paid directly from my bank account. Versus opening up my giant checkbook and writing the checks and sending them out. So I think everyone is coming around to this idea of, online options to go ahead and take care of your day-to-day, your day-to-day activities that you need to take care of. So
Absolutely, that is the case. Well, Richa, thank you for being available in a short notice and being with us. So it's